Welcome to Women of a Certain Stage, the podcast redefining how we think about menopause. I'm your host, Lauren Turin, a passionate advocate for breaking the stigma and empowering individuals to navigate this transformational stage of life with confidence and clarity. Here, we're diving into a new era of menopause support, featuring expert advice, real-life stories, and actionable insights. Whether you're curious about building your personal menopause plan or you're looking to make an impact, you're in the right place. Let's embrace the change together. I'm really excited to see you. I haven't seen you for a few months since I was in Sydney, and you very kindly came and met me on my first day after I arrived because time zone, traveling, jet lag, all my past experiences of coming to Australia, it took me 3 days to get over the jet lag. And getting up and going out for that lovely walk that we went on that morning, I was immediately in the right time zone. So I have to thank you for that, because it meant I didn't lose any time. I could maximize the entire experience of being back in Sydney, and it was such a great start to my trip. But I'm really curious, what have you been up to? What have you been doing since I saw you?
So lots, apart from a big holiday with my family over Christmas to celebrate some milestone birthdays, I have been trying to create awareness at work about this wonderful stage of life that we're in. And we have a women's network. So I've become part of that women's network, and I committed to all the ladies that I would post a monthly video about something that's going on at this stage of life. So I posted my second video yesterday, which was all about tracking symptoms. So you could have holistic conversations with your doctor or specialist or whoever you were talking to, and you'd be thinking about the whole picture and not, just pinpointing specific symptoms and then trying to, solve for just that.
So that's so important.
Yeah. So that's
so important to have that bigger picture. Yeah, amazing. Yes. So I'm curious, let's just go back before menopause ever even was a topic that you were thinking about. Tell me a little bit about who Emma is, who you are, what lights you up.
Yeah. So I have had a long career mainly in technology companies and professional services. And I've grew up in the UK, lived in the UK for a long time, but have lived in Australia for the past 18 years. And I have always had an interest in people, like people make my day. I love connecting with people, and I've always had a strong desire to help people, whether that's through mentoring or coaching. And I became a mental health advocate in the previous job and in the job that I'm in now. So I've always been interested in helping people. And then going through perimenopause inspired me to take my learnings and train to be a coach, so I could really help other people at this stage of life. And, so they didn't have to go through what I went through. They could go through with more informed choices about whether that was getting help with the doctor or whether that was just things that they could do in their everyday life to improve what was going on for them.
So what was your experience? What was your experience of perimenopause and menopause like?
So I think the first thing I noticed was probably the sleep. Like, I've never been a brilliant sleeper, but my sleep was very extreme, and I was very desperate because I was trying to function with kids and a job, and how was I possibly going to get through the day with about 3 hours sleep? So that was probably the first thing that I tried to solve for. And then the hot flushes kicked in, and they were quite extreme, and they were off and on probably for a couple of years. And I was like, oh, is it something I've eaten? Is it because it's hot and humid? Or is it just what's happening? And I had acupuncture, and I took God knows how many herbal remedies I could find. And then I finally went to the doctor, got HRT, and then I put it in the drawer and left it there for about 4 months.
How many people do I speak to that do that? Oh my gosh.
And then I went back to the doctor, and she said, what are you scared of? And I'm like, I feel like it's like one of those things, once I start, I won't be able to stop, and I'm only young. And she said, just do it, and just see if it makes you feel better. So that was really good. And that was my kind of first step in kind of getting rid of the hot flushes anyway, and the sleep did improve a little bit. But then I've, over the years had various times where I felt very low mood, low energy, kind of upset for no reason and just feeling quite flat. But I just try and talk to myself about, how I can make myself feel a bit better. I do exercise that always makes me feel good. That lifts my mood. And so I find that movement is key to my happiness and my well-being. And I most of the time try and eat healthily, although I do like the odd treat. But yes, I find that's really important in getting my balance, even with the HRT. And I've actually just started taking testosterone. So I managed to get that.
Watch out, everybody.
I know, a couple of weeks ago. And then I got it from the chemist and sat there and read the potential side effects and thought, oh my God, like, am I going to wake up with acne, hairs on my chin and less hair on my head, but let's just hope not. Let's hope things are, in good. So I have to go back, I think, in 3 months and have the blood tests again. But I'm really hoping that helps with the brain fog, because I would say that's probably my key thing I really struggle with and I find quite debilitating, especially in a corporate role.
Yeah. Yeah. And you hold a senior role. It's not as if you're just going to work at 9 and leaving at 5 and not having to think about work outside of that. So tell us a little bit more. You talked about working in tech and professional services. Tell us a little bit more about your work and the types of things that you've done over the years.
Yep. So I started my career as a project manager and a business analyst way back in the day when the e-commerce boom happened, which shows how old I am.
Yeah.
And then I got into marketing. So then I spent quite a number of years in marketing in IT software companies. And then I worked for KPMG and ran their marketing for their consulting division. And then I sort of branched out and sort of went in more of a kind of go-to-market role and really at KPMG to try and help sell their tech solutions. And then that was when AI exploded. And then we were selling AI solutions. And now in the role that I have, I manage all of the relationships that the company I work for have with their tech partners. So I work with the big companies like Microsoft and SAP and Telstra. So I work with them, building relationships and sort of driving innovation for the company and making sure we're getting the value that we should from the investments that we make. Yeah. So very different from menopause coaching.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. But I guess the thing is people are kind of at the core of what I do now and, building those relationships with lots of different companies and different types of people. So, yeah, that's really good. Yeah. My menopause coaching and mental health support really kind of helps fill my bucket when it comes to the people side of things.
I think I just wanted to quickly pick up on your kind of core role, simply because when I worked as a program director in financial services, we were looking at big AI solutions way back in the day. And, now obviously everyone's talking about AI and the big 4 or the big 5, depending which way you look at it, platforms that are out there. But realistically, AI has been in our lives for a very long time. And I'm just curious, as a menopause coach, how do you potentially see AI might be useful in our space, in the menopause space?
So I think it could be useful, like providing advice or kind of snippets of advice to people around what they should do or what they should be thinking about. Like if I think about the diploma and all the different pillars of how we help people, and whether that's from the sort of nutrition perspective, like I know AI now, you can take a picture of your food and then it tells you how much protein's in there and how much of this, that, and the others in there. But also, what you're drinking. It could, remind you to move like your watches do now. Like it could look at all those things in your day and, give you suggestions for what you're doing. Or like if you've never walked into a gym and, you got a strength train, but you don't even know what that means, then there's some really good programs now
Mhm.
that I've seen
Yeah.
using AI that can really
Yeah.
help people guide what they
Mhm.
should be doing.
So let's dive back into your experience of, sleep was my worst symptom for sure. Not sleeping, I found incredibly challenging. And after 18 months, I really thought I was losing the plot. And that was pretty much what led me to leave my job, thinking that I had early onset dementia because things had just gotten to a point where I didn't trust myself to be trusted at work, and I wanted to leave before I get found out. I guess that was where I got to. But you were a lot smarter than I was, and you sought help and support, and you started taking things on board to help yourself going forward with a lot more awareness than I ever had. But I'm curious, what made you decide not to just use what you were learning, use what you were reading and discovering when you were investigating menopause, and actually go and get a qualification to help support other people? What was it that made you kind of make that decision and make that investment in yourself going forward?
I think I really wanted to get a qualification
Mm,
and invest in myself to go, actually, now at this point in my life, my kids are a bit
mm,
older, I can do this for myself. So it was
mhm.
also about doing something that I could be proud of, that I was really
Yeah.
interested in, really passionate
Mm,
about.
mhm,
So that was what really made me want to do
mhm,
it, but
mhm,
also so I had the credibility as well to then
mhm,
be able to
mhm,
go and say, well, I've got a qualification, like I can
mhm,
help you.
mhm,
I've had to go through this program myself. I've had to have these
mhm,
practice clients.
mhm, mhm,
I haven't just gone online and learned something.
mhm,
I've invested a lot of time and effort into doing it. I wanted to invest in myself and really do something that I could spend a period of time learning. And it
mhm,
was really important to me that I could do that with other people, because I
mhm,
learn best when I'm engaging with other people.
mhm.
I don't learn best just by reading something.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it. I want to explore it. I want to understand, oh,
Mhm,
how could I have done that better? Or how might someone else do
mhm,
that? So that was really important to me. So when I explored the various different courses available,
mhm,
your one was the one that really stood out
mhm, mhm,
because of that, you being in it to start
mhm,
with, but also
mhm, mhm,
all the practice and engagement that we had.
mhm. Yeah. And I'm curious because I take my hat off to anyone in Australia that will not just sign up for the program and do the minimum, but you signed up and did the whole thing. Like, what time was it that you were turning up for classes at?
So when we started, it was 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. So I used to
Oh,
go to bed and then set the alarm and get up. And then when the clocks changed, it was 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. So then I used to go to bed a bit wired and eventually fall asleep. So, yeah, but it was worth it. And actually, the community that we had in our cohort was
mm,
amazing. And I remember even
mm,
we went on holiday last Easter, and I thought, oh, maybe this will be the one that I'm going to miss. And then I was
mm,
like, no, I don't want to miss it. I want to get up and I want to hear those ladies' voices and I want to have that connection. I don't want to miss out. I would have FOMO
yeah.
if I'd missed out on what we were talking about. So, yeah, so I even got up on holiday. But
Mhm.
and since finishing the course, it's funny because
Yeah.
I miss hearing the people's
Yeah.
voices, and that's what's so wonderful about those connection calls that we have every
Yeah.
quarter, because you hear
Mm,
everyone's voices and
mm,
hear what they're doing, and you're
mm.
so happy,
Yeah.
to hear about everybody's successes. So I really love
Yeah.
that. I really
Mhm.
really very grateful for that.
Mhm. Yeah. And we're working on something to keep everyone connected even longer. So there's more to come. So I'll be talking about that in a few months' time
Well,
as
that's
well.
great
So
news.
you love the community, which I think one of the things that we miss so much during menopause is having a cohort of people around us who get us, who aren't just family or the regular day-to-day people, people who really are genuinely. One of the things I definitely find is that at this stage of life, we are so busy looking after everybody else and, working hard, looking after everybody, putting everything and everyone else first, that often we don't have enough space and time for ourselves. And certainly in the European countries and parts of the States as well, I notice that people in the winter just want to stay indoors and don't tend to want to get outside too much. I don't know if that's as big of a problem in Australia because the weather is so much better. Even when it's bad, it's better than it is at its worst over here. So community for me was always going to be very central to the diploma because I wanted to make sure that people had others that were like-minded, that were pulling in the same direction, that wanted to learn in the same way. And having experts in the program was clearly super important to make sure that we stay up to date. But what were the kind of key aspects of the program apart from the community that you particularly enjoyed or took something away from?
I think because you brought in experts in different weeks to support
Mm,
you, I think that was really useful because it just gave you a completely different
mm,
perspective. So I remember, in one of the early weeks, there was a nurse that came in and she
mm,
talked about how, she spoke to her patients about menopause and how she helped them through it. And then
mm,
likewise, towards the end of the program, when you brought the lady in that talked about, alternative therapies that you can use and the
mm,
tapping, and that we were all doing the
mm,
tapping, and then also how to build a business. So
mm, mm,
I think that was really good because you got your menopause learning, you had the
mm,
coaching framework
mm,
where you
mm,
built all the experts in, and then the practice, and
mm,
then that how to build a business at the end. So I think to me that was really useful because I think a lot of
mm,
courses would just say, here's the content. They
mm,
wouldn't take you on that journey from
mm,
actually how do you become a coach
mm,
and
mm,
to how do you then, build your business as a coach.
mm. Yeah. And what would you say to somebody that was maybe going, I've got so many choices? Because I think every day I see a new course popping up, and every day I see something else that is just download this, read all this information, and then you become a menopause coach. And there's no skills involved in it. There's no assessment. There's no practical experience in it. So what would you say to someone that's maybe sitting on the fence at the moment, just kind of being a bit overwhelmed with all the different options that there are out there in terms of whether, to look at this program or what other things to consider when they're considering what to choose?
I would say look for the credentials, like the
Mm,
credentials of the person that's teaching,
mm,
and then the credentials that you will take away at the end of
mm,
it.
mm,
Because I think that gives you, something to offer other people and gives you that credibility
mm,
as well. That was important
mm,
to me. And I think also one of the other things I liked, which I think would be great for other people, is that you and I had had a conversation
mm,
before, and
mm,
I had to make sure I wanted to work with you, and you had to make
mm.
sure that you wanted
Yeah.
me in your cohort. And I think that was
Mm,
really important. So, like, it wasn't just, oh, yes, sign
mm.
here, pay the money.
Yeah.
It was actually, no, we need to make sure that this is going to
Yeah.
work and you're
Yeah.
going to work with everybody else. And I
Yeah.
think that was,
Yeah.
a lot of other courses wouldn't offer that. So I think that's
Yeah.
something else to look for.
And I think I always wonder because it was something that was drilled into me early on when I trained to become a coach, and one or two of the earlier diplomas I did, which was you have to have that chemistry check before you work with somebody as a coach and a coachee. And what I've realized is that as I'm running a cohort, although I'm not in the capacity throughout the whole thing as a coach, some of it I'm coaching, but most of it I'm training, which is a different role. But I still think that there's that chemistry check is so important because when you've got a group of people together, they're all making that investment, all wanting to go and do something similar in the future. I do think it's important to have people that are of a similar mindset and who genuinely like learning in that type of format, and not someone who's going to be, I don't want to show up, I don't want to be there. I just want to kind of go and read some stuff. So yeah, I was blown away at you getting up at that time to be live right the way through. I just thought that was magnificent. Look, I know the other thing that people are always really interested in hearing about is, so what did you do after? What happened since then? What have you been doing with this, and how have you used this knowledge and experience since you graduated?
So it's funny because when we finished the course, then it was like, oh, what now? Like, how does this work? Like, I don't know in my mind whether I thought there were going to be 100 people waiting to knock on my front door to say, yeah, I'd love to do this with you, which obviously wasn't going to be the case. So then I had to really think about, okay, well, how can I break it up and go and target specific areas, having, a full-time job as well. So then I looked for ways of, kind of contacting the local community. So like I did a talk in a gym, for example, where I kind of stood up with a trainer and we talked about, all the symptoms that you can go through and some of the things that you can do to help yourself. And that was really good. And then I did a talk at work where we had the people from like the People and Change team who did a little intro and talked about the sort of policies. And then there was me who did a talk about perimenopause and the things that you can look at in your life, the small changes you can make. And then we had a panel where we had 3 ladies come in and talk about their experiences. And we got one of the guys to run the panel. And we had over 400 people join this call. And it was amazing. And people were, and then people were also sending us emails afterwards saying, oh, I couldn't make it, but I've listened to it. That was amazing, because it just gave people the permission to talk about it.
Yeah.
To say, actually, I feel like this too, or I'm feeling this, or who else is going, got this symptom or that symptom. What have they done about it? So I think it was really, it's just so empowering to see women then say, actually, I can talk about this, you know. So I've done a few other things on Instagram and Facebook and that sort of thing. And then I've got my little video series that I'm working on. So I'm just trying to do small steps along the way. And then I'm coaching a few people as well. So I kind of think just keep it ticking over until one day I can do it full time, hopefully.
Amazing. And so what have you got on the horizon? What's your year ahead looking like, menopause or otherwise?
Wow. So, well, my son's just finished school, so he's starting university actually tomorrow. So that's a bit of a change for us. And in Australia, most people live at home when they go to uni. So he's actually still at home. So that's nice too. And then my daughter's very sporty. So a lot of my term time life is spent at the weekends ferrying her here, there and everywhere, which is lovely. And I know it won't last forever. So that's good. But otherwise, I don't know, I guess I just want to be happy and healthy and, not scared to ask for help if I need help, but also continue to spread the word and the permission for women to actually talk about it and feel safe to talk about menopause.
Yeah. When you think about growing up in the UK and studying in the UK and then living in Australia, what are the kind of key differences that you've noticed? I know we touched on this when we went for a walk in Sydney, but I'm just curious, when you reflect and people thinking maybe in the UK that have never been to Australia, or people who are in Australia and not been to the UK, what are the kind of key differences, seeing as you've had both opportunities?
Yeah. So I would say from a lifestyle perspective, like most people get up really early here, and because it's hot, so most people will get up and do their exercise or walk. Like if you go to the beachfront in the morning at 6 a.m., there will be hundreds of people, and they'll all be walking their dogs or walking with their friends or swimming in the sea or whatever it might be. So I think we tend over here to have that sort of more active lifestyle or more outside lifestyle. But then we go to bed quite early. Whereas in the UK, I think people often get up later and go to bed later because it's also in the winter, dark until 8:30 in the morning. I mean, I know when I go to the UK and I'm like, okay, what do we do now? Like it's still pitch black and, we're at like 7:30. So so I would say, from a lifestyle perspective, work-wise, I think it's work's work at the end of the day, I guess. And I think from a work sense, I think we work hard here just like we do in the UK. But it's, I suppose where I am in Sydney, the wonderful thing is you've got all the water around you, so it kind of feels less stressful. Although you probably have as much stress, it feels less stressful because you've got the beautiful surroundings.
Yeah, I have to say, I was so looking forward to coming back over. I was so dreading the trip, as in the travel, because it's such a long journey. But it was a smooth journey. Seeing you to go for that walk was just the perfect way to start the trip. But when I left, I wonder if I could extend my stay. I wonder if I could maybe stay for another couple of weeks. I just love it. And my favorite has always been sort of Cairns, far north Queensland. That's always been my favorite spot to go rafting and skydiving and just being out in the flora and the fauna, investigating everything. And I love it. Like Cape Trib, all around that area, I just totally adore it. I think I fell in love with Sydney this time.
Mm.
And, you know, the main reasons I've been in Sydney before is for the rugby. And we'll not talk about that for today, but, you know, that's been the main thing that's brought me is sport and working with the team. But I think I saw it in a whole different light. I saw it from a more mature perspective. I met more people when I was there. I had a really good time and just, yeah, definitely can see the appeal. And if only we could make it not quite so far away, it would be
Yes,
perfect.
that
That's the
would
only
be
thing.
yeah, that would be my dream too. So I having been back to the UK at Christmas and we
Hmm.
went to, Italy and France, you
Mm.
realize how much history that Europe has that Australia
Yeah.
doesn't. And I loved that. But it is so far
Mm.
away. So it's always got to be like a
Mhm.
big trip to go and
Yeah.
experience those things.
Mhm.
So yes, on my bucket list, I came back home and wrote a bucket list of all the places I wanted to go
Ooh.
and and how I'd like to go and hire a house initially for 3 months and just go and immerse yourself somewhere local. I think that would be an amazing thing to do.
Oh, I wish you every success, and I can't wait to hear all about it when you get to the point that you're doing that. Emma, it's been an absolute pleasure to see you again and to chat with you today. And I just want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to keeping in touch and hearing what you do next.
Thank you so much, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your week.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me on Women of a Certain Stage. I hope today's episode inspired you to think differently about menopause and the incredible opportunities this stage of life brings. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with 3 friends who need to hear this message. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us reach even more people. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Lauren Turin or visit our website at womenofacertainstage.com to learn more about menopause coaching, inspiring events, and corporate training. Until next time, let's continue making a difference, one conversation at a time.